now, brown cow?
How now, brown cow?
Unique New York.
Unique York. It's all right, my feet can't touch the ground. I have a whole... I try to look at each horse that we've had or even that I ride as what is this situation teaching me? And so one of the horses we had a very quirky personality. He had a lot of challenges. And it wasn't until he got to us at an older age that we finally understood what he was trying to say, because horses can't verbally communicate, but they're always trying to communicate. They just communicate through their actions.
Oh, okay.
So if you can pay enough attention, a lot of times you can hear them, it's just in a different way, right? So what I learned through that horse was that change is possible, no matter what. So he had all these bad habits for years. And what he did is he actually ended up changing his reputation through the habits and us being able to present him in a way, but he did change. And so you could have all those bad habits throughout your life for various reasons. We don't know why he was like this.
Yeah.
And then he started understanding us and trusting us, and then completely changed who he was as a performance horse.
All right, welcome back to InCREdible Leaders Podcast. With us today is Jackie Ware, who is the CEO of Pegasus Residential.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Jason.
We're going to have a lot of fun today. So the purpose and the heart behind InCREdible Leaders Podcast is to get to know leaders in our industry. Not hear your CEO resume, not, the 11D business practices that makes Pegasus so great. We want to get to know you.
All right,
so that's what we're going to do today, if you'll allow us. Okay? All right. So, as always, we'd like to start in the Wayback Machine. Okay? So, take us back to little Jackie. Okay? Where did you grow up? Start back then.
Yeah. So, actually, I know you don't want the CEO resume, but I actually grew up in property management. Okay. My mother was in the industry, founder of Pegasus, but also was in the industry growing up. So for us, her first job, we moved to Florida from Ohio. My parents got together. They wanted to get out of Ohio, and we were living in an apartment complex. Yeah, from the weather, obviously. And so my dad got a relocation to Florida. Okay. My mom had just had me early on, and they were living in an apartment complex.
Yeah.
And at that time, apartments aren't anything of what they are today. And my mom had decided, I want to get a house. Mm-hmm. So my dad said, well then, let's get a job. My mom was at the apartment complex every day, going to the pool, watching me, and they offered her a job as a leasing consultant.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, oh, I think I could do that. She had made friends with the ladies in the office, and that's how she started in her career. So through that time, my parents had kind of made a pact that they were going to move with any type of job promotion.
Okay.
So they kept getting promoted, and we moved a lot when I was a kid, so therefore we lived in a lot of apartments.
Oh.
And I primarily grew up in Tampa and Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
And then when I was around the high school age, my mom got a big promotion and we moved to Georgia.
Okay.
And so again, property management has been a big leading force of my life. Yeah. And that's how we got to Georgia itself. And then I went away to college. I was actually wanted to be a horse trainer. And that's what I went to college for. I still have the privilege of riding and practicing. My mom and I do it together today as an investment and something fun.
Yeah.
But I have a equine science degree and
Okay.
Yes. So
That's
I
a
double
thing.
major. It's a thing. And I ended up getting a full a big scholarship to school. And it was just the most amazing experience. I went away to Missouri, and then I had jobs in Kentucky and in North Carolina, and then found myself at kind of when my mom was starting Pegasus Residential, she had asked if I would come back and help, because I had dabbled in, when I was in some summer internships, I did at some of the properties. And I was a leasing agent, and I came back when she started the company as what we call a SOS person, basically a superstar salesperson. And I would go and travel and go to all the different sites. So I took a step back from the horse training and then decided to, start a career back in property management. Came on originally just to kind of help start Pegasus as an extra associate. This company was brand new off the ground and moved back to Atlanta, and then haven't left since.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you just gave us so much. So, all right, we gotta go back. You're in Florida.
Yep.
My wife grew up in Florida, and she always talks about how in Florida you either had your nice jeans or your not nice jeans, nice shorts or not nice shorts, and that was kind of all there was from a fashion standpoint, which I think is funny. That can't be true about people from Florida, but that's just how
Probably
she would
depends
talk about
on
it.
where you are.
She
I wouldn't. I was a
Orlando.
kid, so I was only at the pool all day long or at the beach.
Yeah. Okay. So you were at Tampa
At Tampa and Jacksonville,
and then
primarily.
Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. And did you start riding horses in Florida?
When I was 12 years old, I had asked for it. My mom had an interest in horses, and we never had the type of horses that we have today, the big show horses that we have today. Yeah. But we had like a horse at a local boarding barn, and my mom was trying to give me lessons. And I had asked that we stop that and that I take professional lessons for my 12-year-old birthday. So from then on, I actually did, and I never left it. My parents decided, they made me choose. They said, we want to fully support you in whatever you decide to do, but you need to pick an activity. So at the time, I was in, shockingly, basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, and my parents said, we don't care which one you pick, but you have to devote yourself to that, and we'll fully support you. Yeah. So I chose the most expensive one. I chose the horses, and I did stick with it, and my parents, had to keep my grades up, but they stayed true to, we'll fully support you to the best of our abilities in whatever your hobby you pursue, which did become a temporary profession for me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, so you're 12, and you do what a lot of us do, and you actually asked for a pony for Christmas, or for your birthday, and you got one.
I didn't get the pony, but I got the lessons. I asked for to be able to apply the skill. No, that the pony came way later. Yeah. But eventually I did get the pony.
Okay.
I got it as my. Let's see, when I turned like 16, I could not wait. I had people today, I know they wait to get their driver's license. I was there the second I turned, but I got my driver's license, but instead of getting a car, I got the horse.
Yeah, all right.
So that's what I asked for instead of the car.
All right, we're going to stick here for a second. So I had a friend that did barrel racing growing up, so I'm familiar a little bit with this horse scene. What type of riding did you do, or what type of riding do you do?
It's the same that I started when I was 12. It's called saddle seat. It's a variation of English riding. So if people that are listening are familiar with dressage, it's not dressage, but it is an English style of riding.
Is this the one where Snoop and Kevin Hart were doing the commenting at the Olympics a couple of years ago? He's talking about, look at the horse, he's over there crip walking with his fancy
that
feet.
That was dressage that they were they were commenting on. Yeah. And actually it was really funny that we actually had our first baby horse that we made in a petri dish through the science that's available today. We took an embryo out of our show mare and, we made it. Anyway, but we named it Snoop, because he was born on 420.
That's amazing. Born on 420?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay.
So it all goes back to Snoop Dogg and his passion. But,
yeah, it does. Yeah. And horse with fancy feet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And we ride the fancy-feeted horses, yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, cool. All right, so from there, you went to high school somewhere here in Georgia, is that right?
I did. I went to Duluth High School.
Oh,
and
okay.
Funny enough, there have been people from my school that actually end up, I work with them. They don't work at Pegasus, but a couple of them have one of our vendor partners. He does a lot of videos for us, and we went to high school together. Not only did we go to high school together, he lived in my neighborhood. And I didn't intro him to our company. Actually, our director of learning and development knew him and was friends with him, and that's how we got to Pegasus. And when he showed up to film, we were like, "What? It was really fun."
How small the world gets. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to high school here in Duluth, and then you went to college for equine sciences.
Yeah.
That's right. Where was that?
In Fulton, Missouri. So if you're familiar at all with Missouri,
I am not.
It's about an hour and a half from St. Louis, 20 minutes from Mizzou.
Okay.
So it was in the middle of literally nowhere, and it was a very small college, but it was the best experience. Obviously, equestrian was a big part of the curriculum. I also had a business degree as well. Yeah. But I got to meet a lot of people, have a lot of internships and a lot of life experience. I'd really love to do a book sometime on the lessons that I've learned through horses that apply to, honestly, what I do as a CEO and working in the business world.
Yeah, and that was something I actually had in my notes to talk about. They always talk, I haven't spent a lot of time with horses, so I'm curious here. They talk about how horses, they almost like look into your heart or into your soul. Like they have some weird, special, supernatural even connection with humans.
Yeah, they're empaths. So they can actually feel your heartbeat from 4 feet away. So if you're like racing, you have a lot of anxiety, they'll kind of take that on as well, or you're scared or calm. They really do connect with people. It's very close to like, having dogs. They have all the different kinds of personalities. Some are really smart. Some are not as smart as others. And
those are my horses.
Yeah. So it really just depends.
Got it. Okay. What kind of horses do you ride?
We have American saddlebreds, Morgans, and Frisians. Okay. And then we've also had Arabians as well.
Oh, okay. All right. So we've been talking about horses. You said I'm going to hold you to it. You're going to write a book about the things you've learned from horses that apply to business. Give me a couple things that, as you've worked with horses and you've worked in this field of fancy feet horsing. Sorry, I don't know what you actually call it.
That's perfect. Fancy feet horsing works for me.
Okay. What are a couple lessons that you've learned that you would say that have impacted you, that actually like are a thing in your life?
Yeah, so I think, I try to look at each horse that we've had or even that I ride as what is this situation teaching me? And so one of the horses we had a very quirky personality. He had a lot of challenges. And it wasn't until he got to us at an older age that we finally understood what he was trying to say, because horses can't verbally communicate, but they're always trying to communicate. They just communicate through their actions. Oh, okay. So if you can pay enough attention, a lot of times you can hear them, it's just in a different way, right? So what I learned through that horse was that change is possible. No matter what. So he had all these bad habits for years. We didn't get the horse until he was about 9 years old, which in his lifespan was kind of at the end of his career. Okay. And what he did is he actually ended up changing his reputation through the habits and us being able to present him in a way, but he did change. And so you could have all those bad habits throughout your life for various reasons. We don't know why he was like this. Yeah. And then he started understanding us and trusting us, and then completely changed who he was as a performance horse.
Gosh, that is...
So people can change is what I think about it.
So much like relationships with people. Like if you have these either preconceived notions or a reputation that precedes, it can really shape how people see you, treat you, value you. But yeah, as a friend or as a leader, if you can somehow get to know the person, yeah, you can have a real impact on their life by not prejudging or opening up what's possible by just giving them opportunity.
Yeah. So the reputation piece is exactly it. The reputation changed through that.
Yeah. Man, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. So do you still ride today?
I do. Okay. Yes, I ride almost every weekend. I guess probably like a buzzword right now, but we were actually just talking about mental health, right? And I have strong feelings that, the only person who can control your mental health is you. So, and you have to work at it. I mean, at least I do. Maybe not everybody does, but I certainly do. With managing the different stress levels that come at you, and a big way that I find peace for myself is actually on the weekends. I ride almost every weekend. I spend time with the horses that we have at home, and I spend time in nature. Therefore, I do it outside, and that makes me feel more connected as a person. And I also, have to think about something else outside of myself. I know you have a lot of kids. I don't have a lot of kids, so I have the animals. But I don't think about work. I don't think about, how am I going to fix something? How are we going to meet? What's the ROI on that? I'm just thinking about how are we communicating? What are we doing right now? Are we having progress? Yeah. And is the horse enjoying the situation?
What happens if you bring work distraction or whatever into the horse riding of that day? Does it affect how you and the horse react? Does it affect how the horse performs?
It can completely. I've actually done that. Unfortunately, I've had some bad experiences where I've done that riding at home, but even like at competitions, I would take a phone call before I would compete, right? And I'm very upset, like it got some bad news or whatever it may have been, and not able to shift or control myself completely. I've now brought that whatever experience that might not be positive into that ride. And I'm kind of either distracted, I'm not my best. It's just like any athlete that competes, you have to be in a certain like headspace to do it.
Yeah.
And so certainly, especially with riding, because you are trying to communicate to them and they can't always, sometimes it's just like people, you might be fighting, like you're not on the same page, and you're trying to get there. And if you, as the human who is supposed to be the smarter of the two individuals, can't take yourself back and control your emotions in it, and when they're trying to communicate with you, you could end up having a unintentional fight or have some missed signals. That's really unfair to the horse.
Are we talking about marriage, or are we talking about work? Like that feels like that applies to
everything.
Everywhere. Yeah. So I had another question for you that I picked up by listening to On Air with Jackie Ware.
Thank you for the plug. Thank you.
You said a couple of things. You were talking about the power of silence, breath work, and shower meditations.
Yes, you did listen to that.
I did listen to that. Where did that come from? Like, why is silence such an important part of you and giving yourself room to think? I think as I've grown, I've learned a lot about myself, probably the hard way. And as I've taken on more responsibility as an individual, and I think most people in property management and probably maybe leadership in general can relate to the fact that our days are chaotic. I have a lot of people coming at me with things. I have a lot of problems that I'm trying to solve every day. Usually when something gets to me, it's an issue and it needs to be solved, and it needs to be solved in a timely manner, and I need to make quick decisions to keep the business moving forward. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, I don't want to talk to anybody. Yeah, I'll talk to
I do feel bad for my fiance in that case, because sometimes I'm like, I just want to sit and quiet, and I'm in my era, I guess, of watching birds. I like to watch the birds at the house. I have a lot of bird feeders, and I like to take some time for myself. And when I was younger, I used to want to like listen to music and get myself pumped up and get excited, and that's how I would. And now, as I've aged, I'm the opposite of that. I want to take time to be quiet. Yeah. And I think I'm so excited all day. And so maybe even like on for your team, like even as a leader, when you're having a bad day, it's not, you can't just put that on everybody else. They're looking for you for comfort. Yeah. And so that's why I want the quiet. And then that is my quiet time, and I learned that through age 2, is I like to sit in the shower. I like to have the water hit my back, and I think about all the things that I'm thankful for. Yeah. Like I think about pressure as a privilege, because you're stressed and you're like, oh, all my life choices have led to this moment. Was this the best thing?
Right.
And I do think about pressure as being a privilege, and okay, how lucky am I to have all these obstacles that people depend on me to solve? Yeah. Right? That people, they're bringing them to me because they themselves couldn't solve them. Yeah. And that's a huge privilege in life. And so I try to change my perspective as well. But some days, are tough as a leader. I think everybody can relate to that. And you need to, I do feel, and I just said something about it actually this morning, because we're going into our busy season, start of summer. Our teams are going to be at max capacity, 100% across the board, both our support teams and on site. And I talked about self-care. You have to take care of yourself before you can really take care of others. I guess like the airplane analogy, you put the mask on yourself before the child. And so those little things every day, I take a shower every day, so why not take a moment and just think of all the things that I'm grateful for and enter the day with a grateful attitude.
Yeah, that's awesome, and thank you for showering every day.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sure everybody's appreciative of that.
I hope so.
But yeah, it's so frustrating. I'm talking to myself, me talking to myself. I get so frustrated at myself that I know what you are saying is true, and I know that prioritizing myself and taking care of myself and filling my own cup will make me a better version of myself for the company, for my team, for my family. And yet it is so hard sometimes to prioritize that time because you just want to be on, you want to get going.
Well, I get in a weird thing where I guess it's not, I think a lot of people have the same thing, but I want to get things done. Like I've gotten to this point from, accomplishing a lot, right? So sometimes I'll have to catch myself. I'll go right into my emails. I'll wake up and start answering emails.
Yep.
Or I'll wake up and I'll want to get on my phone right away and see what I've missed and get connected. But I've really learned that I'm a lot better if I set my day up for success opposed to just jumping in it. So I think for me, I've had to fail forward to the part where I just think it's so, if I don't do these things, I know where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And I talked about it again today. It's a constant effort. It's not like it's just, it may come easy to some people, but for me, I have to think about it. Okay, why are you reacting this way? Did you do these things that, so you could have a better day today? What are we going to do tomorrow to make sure it's a better day?
Yeah.
So, but it is a conscious effort, I think, for almost everybody because people have such busy lives. And it's getting busier and more hectic, it feels like.
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah, no, it feels like it. It is it. It's such a constant, the dopamine hit of everything that comes on your phone, I think has us all worn out internally, and we don't necessarily even know it or are aware of it until we're just exhausted. I've been working on my morning routine. I'm the same. I've figured a very specific morning routine that sets me up for a great day. And I get very frustrated at myself because I almost never do all of it, even though I know all of it is exactly what I need to do.
Yeah.
So my morning routine is I'm up an hour before the rest of my house, which right now is okay because it's the summer and the kids are out of school and they're sleeping in a little later. But during the school year, that means I'm up at 5:30, which I'm not naturally a morning person. And so that hour is needed, one, before I greet any other humans. I need a good hour to, crank the Model T engine a little bit. But my best morning is an hour before everybody else, some time with coffee, some time in the Word, and some time journaling. And my most optimal morning adds a little bit of fitness in that window as well. But I almost only always do 2 of the 4.
Well, you're human, so you got to allow yourself that grace because then you get too caught up in the task instead of what am I trying to get? I'm really just trying to set myself up mentally for the day.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your morning routine look like?
So I'm a really annoying morning person because once I'm up, I'm up. Right, yeah. And I'm ready, and I'm chatty, and I'm ready to get the day going.
You
I'm
wake
better
up
in the morning.
Fully caffeinated, huh?
Yeah, I'm better in the morning. Like if at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5. I'm done.
Yeah.
I have to get all my hard decisions, and all my hard things done first thing.
Yeah.
So for me, I like to wake up. I like to go work out. I used to like to do like a real fun, like crazy workout. Now I like to do Pilates because it's slow and they keep the room dark, which is great.
Perfect.
And I do better in a class setting than I do at like home in my basement. I've tried that a couple times, but then I'm not as disciplined that way. So I do tend to get up pretty early to do that. And then I come back, take a nice long shower, and do my little gratitude piece, get ready, and then head to work. One thing I really love, and I actually think about it every morning, because I've always had a pretty healthy commute. I've lived in downtown Atlanta a lot, worked a lot up here in Alpharetta, and just everywhere I've been in my life, I've had a pretty healthy commute. But when I took on more responsibilities at Pegasus and became the CEO, I decided to move very close to the home office just to eliminate traffic as a stress.
Yeah.
And my commute is 2 minutes door to door, and it is amazing. And every day when I pull in, I'm like, I still pat myself on the back. It's been a couple of years now, and I'm still like, that was a great decision, Jackie. I love it every time. So that makes me smile in the mornings. But so that's really, I get up, I spend a little time in the Word as well, and then on with my day.
Yeah.
And I like to get there early in the morning too, because I feel like if somebody comes to my office door, I need to spend time with them. A lot of times I don't need to be in the office, but I come in there so people see, I want to be seen and I want to talk to everybody and feel our culture.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if I I don't ever like shoo anybody away. I do spend a lot of time on like calls on meetings, but if someone's at my door, I usually try to, talk to them. And
yeah, accessibility to the executives is a huge piece of positive culture at any company that I've ever been to. So that's good.
But because I distract easy, I have to spend I come in and I get all the hard stuff or the things that I have to get done.
Yep.
You have a list and there's things you have to get done and things that maybe even like you should get done. I do my have-tos before a lot of people are in the office.
Yeah. You and I are so similar. So I also have to do group fitness because if I do it by myself, I will just quit.
Yeah, I'm not as disciplined.
I have such like internal agency that I'm like, this is hard and I can quit if I want to, so I'm going to quit because it's hard.
Yeah.
That's not good. So I need the peer pressure of other humans around me.
The fact that you've already paid for it. It's like, well, I've paid for it, so I need to show up.
But see, I'm the person that's like, I have as much agency. I paid for it and I don't care. I can quit if I want to because I've already paid for it. Like it's really not good. So I need the peer pressure, the competition. I love a leaderboard. That's very helpful for me. But I like to get in. I'm the first one here in the mornings for two reasons. Number one, I also like to get as much done as I can early before the distractions and things like that. But also, I like to set the tone for the office. So we have a big like 90-inch TV out there in the lobby, and I'll put on YouTube and I'll put on some sort of scenery and music of the day.
Okay.
And so I feel like I'm setting like the vibe of the office every morning.
What a responsibility.
That's
so
a big
fun.
One. Well, it's not. It's like fun. I love it. So if I'm like our CEO, he was just traveled to Italy. And so for the couple weeks leading up to it, I'd put on like an Amalfi Coast with some Italian music in the background or some sort of Italian cafe type of vibe. And so like just setting the tone. So anyway, it's fun for me, but I like that. I like to have the tone and the vibe right for me to get my day going.
I do the same thing, but only in my office. I don't control the whole. Our office is very. We've grown, and so there's a lot of different sections of it.
Yeah.
And we don't have a good radio system for it. But in my office, I do have a little. I put on usually French bistro music. I don't know why. It makes me feel fancy.
Yes.
Or calming, or I'll do like a dinner music or something, but some kind of low key music. And then I do a candle typically in the mornings too sometimes. But to get the vibe, I feel like I want because the day can get pretty. I would say not peaceful at times.
Yes.
I try to make the aura peaceful.
That's right.
And then it gets away from me, but I try to start the day of like, okay, it's going to be great. All positive things are happening.
I love it. That's so good. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit back over to business. Mm-hmm. So you lived in an apartment, and your mother grew up in those and grew up her business. It sounds like in that world of multifamily, and then when you came out of college, had Pegasus already started at that point?
Yes. So it had. It started when I was in one of my first jobs after college.
Okay.
So in 2009, the company started, and I joined about 5 months after the initial start of Pegasus.
Okay. How did your mom? I assume y'all are close.
Yeah, we're very close.
Okay. How did your mom have the idea to start Pegasus Residential? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, so it was more like a timing thing that happened in her life. So she'd worked in property management, been a executive VP for several years, and she's really big. And I think she proved this throughout her career. Retired now, but it was really important to her to treat people right and to stand behind her word. And when she had worked for huge REITs, worked for different companies, and she was working for a company, and she didn't feel like they were putting the employees first. And obviously you have to put the business first, but they were making some decisions that she wasn't quite aligned with, and she kind of had a bad day.
Yeah.
And she started the company with a big a personal friend and partner of hers, Debbie Conley. And they started talking one day, and she goes, I think I'm gonna start my own company. And Debbie was a really great operator, and she said, well, let's do it. And they started with 3 people, and Chris Ryan Lawrence was also part of that. And they decided to start Pegasus.
That's awesome.
But it just took one really bad day.
Yep.
And that was what I guess was enough motivation and she was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like I'm just as smart as these people. So it was kind of betting on yourself.
Yep.
And then she was like, I'm going to surround my people with people who have different skill sets than I do. So if anybody knew Debbie, her and Debbie were like polar opposites in almost every way, except for maybe in height. They're both short. Okay. But other than that, they had opposite personalities, opposite strengths, and that made for a really good partnership.
Very complementary.
Yeah, because they both had different separate skill sets. So that was very important to her.
Yeah, got it. Okay. There's a book called The E-Myth, and he talks about that moment that your mother had called the entrepreneurial seizure.
Oh, okay.
It's where you like...
I haven't heard it put like that, but that's probably...
something hits you, and you're like, I just have to do this.
Correct. And Debbie had the same thing where she just kind of had a bad day, and they were both like, okay, let's bet on ourselves.
Yeah, love it.
And it was really just... I mean, it wasn't that... That sounds easy. It wasn't easy by any means.
Nothing's easy about that.
That was the day that they decided that they were going to change the course of their careers.
Yeah, okay. The name Pegasus, obviously we know that a Pegasus is a horse.
Yes.
With wings.
The amount of people who can't spell it is surprising, though.
Really?
Oh, man, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what to say about that.
It's amazing.
Hard one.
Yeah,
it's not a hard one. But was the name because of your relationship with horses, or like where did Pegasus come from?
It was actually part of the 3 founders, so it was really interesting. So obviously Lindy has the horse. One of the other founders was very big into like kind of Greek mythology, into that kind of thing. So they were like, okay, well, Pegasus. And then Debbie happened to have a dream when they were all talking about this, and it was a white horse flying at her. And so they were all like, that's got to be the name. And it just kind of happened very organically, but they wanted it to mean kind of something to each of them. Yeah. And then that all happened.
And it did.
So it was really, it was an interesting thing, but that's really how it came out.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, and I don't love the experience, but it's how it happens so many times it's the hard things or the negative things that you go through in life is what really helps you understand what you don't want for yourself in the future. So your mother had worked at companies that weren't necessarily making decisions that were for the people.
Well, aligned with what she thought was right. I mean, we'll say
Sure.
that. It's not like they were making terrible decisions, but they weren't the decisions that she would have made and how she would have handled it.
Yeah.
So I think for her and learning as she grew, she might have been a little bit of a control freak. And so she felt like, well, I want to control that part.
Yeah.
And it wasn't aligned with what she would have done.
Yeah.
Right or wrong. I mean, they, obviously, but that's kind of what motivated her. She's like, that's not what I would do. So I want to be able to be the one making those decisions.
Yeah. In a real sense, what does a people first company mean? I mean, like a lot of people can say that, right? That can be a sweeping platitude on a wall. We're people first.
And we know we toggle with that a lot because we think about, you can't make decisions on every person's personal needs. You have to do what's best for the entire ecosystem and the organization. Yeah. But I think we try to be, as an organization, people-centric, because we're a people-centric business. And we truly believe that if our teammates are happy, because we don't necessarily have easy jobs. Sure. I don't think about IT as being easy. I don't think about our jobs, any of them being easy. Third party especially, but we talked about some with your team. We were sharing some of the stories that these on-site team members have to deal with, and it's not a normal job that everybody can do.
Only imagine some of those stories.
Yeah, and so we try to make decisions that benefit the people, and that's what I think a people-centric company does. And sometimes it does dig into our margin a little bit. But we do want to keep the company making profitable so that it can benefit everybody. Sure. But when our executive team gets together, we think about, is it making our employees' jobs better? Yeah. Is it making, we're not 100% right all the time, but that's the lens we try to...
That's the heart behind it.
Yeah, that's the lens and the decision-making that we try to do.
Yeah.
Is that we want to make it the best job that we can make it for them.
Yeah, I love, there's this quote by Richard Branson, who is the guy that owns Virgin, and I'm going to butcher the quote because I'm just trying to draw it out of the dust of my brain, but it's something like, train people well enough that they could go anywhere. Treat them well enough that they don't want to.
Yes.
And I freaking love that. Like, pour into your people and train them up to where they could just go be a rock star anywhere.
We want them to be.
Treat them so well. They don't want to. They want to do it here.
Well, and we battle this. A thing we battle with right now is that the talent pool in multifamily is we're all fighting for the same talent. There's a problem because we have so much. The markets are saturated in the Southeast, and there's a lot of talent, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
And there's, like I said, this job isn't for everybody. So they have to have the right type of personalities to do the job. And what we're thinking about with people and their talent set is that we want to grow them to the potential they can get, but then sometimes they go and work somewhere else. But what we're finding is that a large portion of our people come back. And that's what really makes me feel I hate that they left in the first place.
Yeah, but those boomerangs are great.
The boomerangs are great, and a lot of times they come back with even better skills, and then they make our platform better.
They come back with gratitude.
Yeah, usually because people say, well, they left, and aren't you mad at them? And usually I'm disappointed when somebody leaves. It's, it's not personal, but it is. It feels that way a little bit. But I always think, if they're coming back, they're going to be really bought in.
Yep.
And they usually are. And they're usually some of our best performers.
Yeah.
But like I said, what I always tell my people is I want you to learn the most you can here. Yeah. It may not be you may not stay here forever, but I hope that when you talk about this job, this was the job you learned the most in.
Yeah, that's awesome. So 2009, Pegasus gets started. Third-party management, correct? Mm-hmm. How did they get their first properties to manage?
So we had Lindy and the founders had some, clients that they had worked with, just as, any other operator would. And they said, hey, we're going to start our own company. Would you come with us? And so they had two people came with them.
Yeah.
And they're still clients of ours today.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
awesome.
But they decided to come, and so they started off. We had 9 properties.
Yeah, awesome. So 9 properties, 2009, 2010 to where are you today?
Oh, property count is like 215. It changes every day. We've hit 50,000 units. So that's huge for us. We have over 1,200 employees now.
Wow.
We had 50 employees when we first started.
Yeah.
And in the beginning phases too, which a lot of people don't realize, but like the founders didn't pay themselves because, they had to pay all the people. Like that was it. Lindy was making those decisions, and she's like, well, everybody else, if I need people to get this job done, we're going to have to not pay ourselves for a while so we can make sure the company stays afloat. So that's something that people, I think, everybody, Lindy would talk to people and then, what do you want? I want your job. And she's like, you do and you don't, because there was a lot of sacrifice that we had to make as a family. We had to make decisions as a family that way because it impacted us all.
Yeah. Yeah, people really want the highlight reel of an executive's life.
Yeah, and in the end,
a founder's life. But
in the end, she was paying herself. But in the beginning, she wasn't.
That's right. Yeah, there's not a lot of people that, when you start really talking about it, say, hey, how would you like to go without a paycheck for the next 9 months?
Yeah, and you got to hope it. You don't know it's going to work. A lot of companies don't make it.
Yeah.
So you have to really have enough grit, and I think a lot of those founding principles and values are still in our organization. Yeah. And actually, that's what's helping us today, because we started in a downturn, 2009. Mm-hmm. Things weren't great, and today, obviously, our industry itself is having some struggles, and we have enough grit and perseverance and resilience during that because of those original, values that's kind of carried through in our organization. And that's how we're winning business today. Yeah. Because we just won't give up.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that if you could keep that entrepreneurial spirit through the growth of the company, it really does set you apart, because it's just very different than a big corporate machine's mindset.
And that's, really for us, that's what sets us up, because we go against all of the biggest in property management, right? And, we've been on the top 50 list for, years. And, but we go against the top 5.
Yeah.
Right. So our economies of scale, our support system, everything looks a little bit different. Yeah. But what our clients like is that we're relentless, but we don't do like a canned approach to anything. Yeah. We really kind of get in there and try to be specific for their needs. And honestly, they can get to our executive team. Yeah. That's a big thing for them. And we've always been like that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the benefits and the downside of nepotism.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because there's both. You worked in this business that your mom was the founding partner CEO. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so there's on one side, there's a real benefit there because you grew up in the industry, you know the executives, and are known by them. And so your name is obviously going to be able to be seen. But there is a real downside to that in that if you're not careful, everyone around you will assume everything that you're getting is because of your name and your relationship and not necessarily on your own merits and your own work ethic.
Yeah.
Did you deal with that at all?
That's a great question, because I did. And I had to deal with it first myself. So I have always been a person that's been very hardworking. That's always been a part of just who I am.
You can't be a championship anything in college, like
the horses teach you that, right? You can't be around horses and not be a hardworking person.
Yeah.
We actually, Yakov, our COO, the other day, he was like, I'm looking for some horse girls. That's who I'm trying to hire. Those people are crazy.
I love college athletes. Like, that's who I want to hire.
Yeah, he's like, they won't give up. They're hardworking. So that was a funny thing he said the other day, because it's true.
Horse girls.
Yeah, he's like, I need to just hire like a horse girl. But for me, I actually had the privilege of also having some coaching. One thing that I think Lindy really instilled in me is that it doesn't matter how smart you are or whatever, you don't know everything. There's always somebody smarter. There's always something to learn. And she had reached a point with Pegasus where it became bigger than she ever thought, did more than it ever was going to. And she's like, I need some help. I need to get some coaching, and somebody needs to help me make the best decisions I can for this organization. So she, was very mindful in that. So I learned that from an early age. So part of that is I had some coaching. And I did struggle with being compared to my mother. I struggled with failure, feeling like a failure. That was something. And in that, I remember my coach was one of the greatest things. He's like, you have to get over that yourself. Reality as it is, life isn't fair. Yes, you're going to get some privilege that other people won't, but it is how you handle it and how you treat those around you that will make the difference. Work hard enough, do it through your actions, and show them that it has nothing to do with your name. And I was lucky in the fact that I did have to start at the very bottom in our not the very bottom, but I started as a leasing agent, and I worked my way through many of the departments in our organization. And so people through time got to see me. And honestly, I had to interview for every role. Lindy, my mother, wasn't the one interviewing me. Wasn't her direct report until the very end.
Sure.
So I had to work with the other, whoever that was my boss, a different regional manager, a different area vice president. Many different people managed me throughout it. And I got passed over for promotion a lot. And people saw that. Like, I would interview for the job and they would pick somebody different. A lot of times that was because also I think they feared managing me, or or maybe they thought it was right, but some of them were also like they didn't want to have to do that. So I had to kind of battle all that out with myself before I was able to really handle it in the workplace. And once I made that decision and I was able to feel like, okay, I have to let that go. That's how life is. Reality as it is, yes, I'm going to get a lot of breaks because Lindy is my mother. But I also have a lot of things that are a lot harder on me than anybody else. So, because her expectation for my performance was also that I wouldn't make mistakes hardly. And so I had a different level of pressure on me than anybody else. But once I let that go, it made everything so much better. And I think for the most part, most of the people I've worked with will hopefully say that I did all the job. I did the jobs. And I worked just as hard as they did, if not harder, to prove myself in every one of them.
Yeah, because I'm putting myself in the position of a regional manager who's interviewing you, and let's say that I'm insecure. Hiring you is a big threat to me because if I mess up or if I do something different, you can run to mommy.
Correct.
And my job is now at risk because I've hired you.
Correct. It took a secure person to manage me.
That sucks for you, because that's unfair. You're right.
Yeah, it took a secure person to manage me, and there were people that were insecure, and you could tell. So I had to learn a lot about people, and about how, it's kind of like when you realize that your parents are people, and they're not these these perfect individuals that you thought they were, right?
Sure.
They are people, and that's human. And the same thing about if you're going to have a boss, your supervisor might not be the best person you ever met in the world. They might not be the great leader that they think they are or that you were hoping for. but you have to make yourself the best you can be despite who's with you.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, some of those people, they weren't great leaders.
Yeah.
But, did I learn some what not to do, some what to do?
Yeah.
And it was a value part of my life. It was.
Talk to me about the time when the time comes when it's time for you to be CEO. I can imagine, and I'm probably projecting here, but I can imagine imposter syndrome could have been something it's something I would have dealt with.
Oh, 100%. It's something that I think a lot of people deal with it more than you think. And then sometimes
I know they do. They just won't talk about it, which is why we're talking about it here.
Sometimes I still do. I have to prove to myself all the time. I have to prove to myself, to everybody else. I think it's just part of, that definitely happened.
It's so
a big
hard,
part of
that inner, so there's this other book I read that's called The Inner Critic of, never mind. I'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But it's about the inner game, the mental game in tennis. But it essentially talks about those two angels and demons that are on your shoulders and that inner critic and how loud that inner critic can be. And that's where I think that imposter syndrome comes, because every time we step into something beyond where our current skills are or our current comfort level is, the inner critic is sitting there whispering, you can't do this. You don't know how to do this yet. People are going to watch you. People are going to see that you don't know how to do it. And it sucks. Like, it is such a bad voice in your head if you allow it to be.
It's kind of like that pressures of privilege, I think. So, and when I realized that most people have that inner, I read a lot. I watch a lot of, motivational, things. And they did this thing with a group of CEOs, and they made them raise their hands on, who in here feels like they don't know what they're doing? And like every single one of them raised their hand.
But only in the group of CEOs, because they wouldn't do that at their company.
Yeah, probably at their company. But that's the thing is that it is a part of, for myself, and I'm sure it's for most people, but every time I make a really hard decision, it gives me confidence.
Yeah.
I was, when I first started, I was nervous about making decisions. I'm making a lot bigger decisions than I was making previously. And in every ring of life, I've, had a lot of stuff thrown at me, more pressure, more growth is a challenge. Growth is painful. Yeah. If you're feeling really comfortable, you're probably not growing. And that's a problem, or at least it is for me, right? I hope maybe one day the pain will be over. But, but right now in this role, and what I've learned through the other roles is kind of like I guess it's really just like self-preservation on how I deal with things. But I've now learned, because I think that's what the big key is, like learning yourself through all these things. Yeah. But if I can just start making a couple of key decisions so I get the worst thing out of the way with in the morning. Yeah. And then I feel a little confident, more confident that day. Yeah. Whether it was the right one or the wrong one, I have learned, just make the decision. Yeah. And, you can forgive yourself if it was the wrong one. And if it was the right one, you're like a hero. Yeah. And then feel really good about the decisions you're making, I guess. I do spend a lot of time on, I think one lesson I really learned from my mom was you want to be able to back yourself up. So you want to feel good about that decision. Yeah. Whether the rest of the world doesn't agree with you, because there'll be a lot of times that you're going to make one that no one else is going to. But if you can feel really good that you tried everything in your power to make the right decision that you felt morally compassed was right, then you can stand behind it, regardless of whether it ends up being the right one or not. Yeah. And so I try to do that with every decision, be very intentional, and so that I can make sure if it doesn't go right that I can forgive myself, I guess. Yeah. But the imposter syndrome, for me, it gets better as I make more decisions. Yeah. And now, but early on, I was a little freaked out all the time. Yeah. But I was lucky. I had Lindy still as a coach. We had our CFO Landon still stayed on as a liaison for us as well. And so there's a lot of support. I didn't ever feel alone. But in the beginning, I was asking for I asked them reassurance on almost every single decision. Sure. And now I make them and tell them later.
You're right. I think that humility is something that is such a key thing there, because there's so many people, when they step into that new role, for whatever reason, we assume we need to have it figured out. and we need to project that we have it figured out, and therefore we think we need to make the decision on our own because we have all the knowledge, because we're so good at what we do. That's not the case. Like
literally no one knows what they're doing. And when they tell you they do, they really don't know what they're doing, because that means they feel like they know all the answers and they're not going to get to the right one.
Yeah, so the humility to step into a new role, but understand I'm not alone. I can still ask questions. I can still ask for help. It doesn't diminish my value if I ask for help. That's what I think a lot of people think. Like, oh, if I ask for help, then that makes them second guess why they gave me this promotion. It's like, it's not
I think
true,
if you
but
go
it's
into it with, and I, luckily those are people that have known me for years, a little different scenario, but, I do have a board and I have to answer to them, but they're wonderful, and they step in and they give me advice, but I usually come to them and say, I'm trying to decide between these two things. I don't come to them and say, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. I've thought about it. Here's what I feel is the right thing. Yeah. And then here's what I feel like is the other option, and they'll give me guidance. So I guess I'm very blessed in that way, that I can be in a space where people are, happy to be part of that some of the decisions.
Yeah. Okay. Talk to me about the next, call it 5 years, on the personal side and on the business side. Where do you see your life taking you in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so for me, hopefully I'll be married in the next 5 years. I'm engaged. My ring is being fixed. It lost one of its little diamonds. What a first world problem to have. Yeah. So be married in the next 5 years, and in a house. I have a wonderful townhouse, but hopefully my townhouse is in Alpharetta, so I'm really hoping it keeps its value, and I'm ready to sell at the high end. I did buy at the high end, so I'm ready to sell it at the next high end of the cycle, and buy a house and hopefully have some land and have a little farm. Yeah. There is a piece of land actually next to where my parents have a farm, and I'm hoping that there's an elderly couple there, and my goal is to buy that piece of land if it becomes available.
Yeah, have you started planting those seeds?
Yes, so hopefully that it's 5 acres. It'd be right there to have like a master compound. That would be amazing. Okay. I don't know if I can get that done in 5 years, but I'm gonna try. And then the next thing for the business is to continue to grow. Like I said, our board has given me the directive to grow Pegasus. Yeah. And so we do that through growing our people, who then in return, when they're better and they're performing better, it grows our company, and that gives them more opportunities. So that's our 2 things that our executive team does. Those are our 2 thought processes on everything, every decision, is to growing our people, to grow our company. And the answer is yes, then we move forward with that piece. And so we're continuing, our goal is to continue to grow.
How do you grow your people?
Great question. So I'm very proud of this right now, actually, because we used to get one of the complaints that would drive me crazy in every position I had. And I think because how Lindy taught me was just throw you into sink or swim, just throw me into the water and, learn to swim, and every different, piece of things. So her belief is that you're never fully ready for anything. So you have to figure out how to rely on your own skill set to get you through things. That is her thought process. She's like, there's not a manual for everything, because people want to be so prepared. And she's like, you just got to do the job. Yeah. You just got to get through it. You got to do the job. Action. Yeah. Anyway, so we used to always get this complaint, and it's true and honest, that nobody trained me. I didn't get trained. I'm not doing well. I just was never trained. Yeah. So I'm not doing well at my job. And it used to drive us nuts. I mean, it was like, it would drive me crazy. So I was like, I'm never going to hear that complaint again. Okay. And so we have put a lot of resources in really having the best support systems that we've ever had, but we have an amazing training department and team where our training for our property managers, because really our property managers and our regionals are like the backbone to our organization for us. And so we have it's a 60-day plan for every single manager and regional. They have to go through it, and it's long, and it's a lot of one-on-ones. They all get assigned a mentor, but they get a lot of one-on-one time and group sessions with our training team on anything from leasing to all of our systems.
Real quick, would you say that most of the on-site teams, this is their first job or their first time in property management, so that learning curve is really steep?
I would say for a lot of leasing agents, service team members, yes and no, but most of them have to have a skill. right? Like we'll teach them a skill, but the majority of them come to us skilled.
Okay.
So, and then the property managers obviously have experience. We're actually working on some things of trying to bring in people for some other industries right now, and there's a lot of people that are recently laid off because some of the advances in AI.
Right.
And so we're trying to say,
some really good talent.
We have a recession-proof industry, and we have AI will help advance our industry, but it's because we're so people-oriented, it's not going to take away the jobs like in some of those other industries.
Yeah. You, on your podcast, On Air with Jackie Ware, you mentioned 3 characteristics of great leaders: results-driven, empathetic, excellent with communication. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to make it this hard.
Okay.
Pick one of those that you're really good at. Results-driven, empathetic, excellent with communication.
Okay. But I want to say I'm going to go back to my other thing about our training.
Yes.
The complaint I receive now is that we have too much training. And it brings me so much joy.
Of course you do.
It brings me so much joy. Every time I can't actually hear it enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, of those 3, results-driven, empathetic, or good communication,
yes,
I think where I've excelled the most, and then that's taken me the most work, is being communication.
Yeah.
I think that that's something that I really work to get right. I believe words mean a lot. Yep. And so I do try to be very intentional, especially when I'm going into a hard conversation with people. I try to be mindful. I try to be very cognizant of my tone. And it's all learned through property management. I remember, you have those residents when you're on site, and being a property manager, whoa, and they're coming at you and they're mad, and trying to really get good at conflict resolution and controlling your tone and not emotionally reacting and absorbing all of that has, I think, really helped me be I still have work to do and I'm trying to grow at it, but I think communication is something I excel at.
Yeah. One question that I ask all of our guests is, when it comes to leadership, this sometimes is a really difficult question to answer, but I'm going to ask it. When it comes to leadership, when are you most proud of yourself?
When somebody that I have poured a lot into, who's been able to take the hard conversations, not everybody's able to do that, and they grow and get promoted. I think that makes me feel really good. Or when people that I really respect, that I work with, or industry friends, come to me for advice. I think that's really meaningful to me. But really, it's when I see my people, I'm able to give them another opportunity, and then they excel at that, and they excel at the next one. Because you got to think about, in the company I'm in, like, a lot of us have kind of grown up together, and we've seen each other's, everyone's got strengths and weaknesses, and to see people overcome a weakness that they've been battling with, and they really work hard to now they're a great leader.
Yeah.
Because if you're not good with conflict, you're going to really struggle as a leader.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to be fighting people, but you do have to be okay with that level of conflict. There's no great leader who's okay with that, and that's something I see people struggle with in our company, because we have a lot of very people who are really kind, and they want to do good for people, and they want to help them find their apartment, and then they get in a leadership role and they're like, what?
Yeah.
I have to have conflict in my conversations?
Yeah.
It helps them.
Well, honesty is a kindness oftentimes.
It is.
And not, so I've watched a lot of podcasts lately where this concept of being nice versus being kind, and the tension between those, and nice is just being like, hey, you did a really good job. Kind, maybe like, hey, you didn't do a great job. I believe in you. I believe you can, and here's what we can improve on. But there's a big difference between being nice and being kind. And
nice doesn't help people move forward.
Yeah.
You have to be encouraging.
Yeah.
And kind.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I've learned a lot about your story today, and I'm really thankful for that. I know we spent a lot of time on the personal side, but that's the purpose here, is for me to get to know you, for our listeners to get to know you a little bit. And I think everybody's going to walk away with some real appreciation for getting out in nature, connecting with whether it's horses, dogs, or birds in the era of birds.
I'm in my bird era. It's probably disturbing to say. I think it's disturbing for my fiance, but I do. They give me so much joy. I just watch them and I drink my coffee, and I'm so happy.
I love it. And we can't wait to watch the growth of Pegasus and your growth as well. So thank you for spending the time with us. Thank you for gracing us with the conversation.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right.
All right. You had some hard, I didn't know the imposter syndrome question. I was like, okay.